Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
It's the question that drives us, Neo.
What is the Matrix?
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You are a slave born into a prison.
Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure.
By that music, that means another film cast, another week, and yes, more moaning. This podcast will probably contain mild language because we are talking about Matrix Revolutions 2003, and I can't do that, as usual, without my partner in crime, Neil. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. I'm pleased to finally be speaking about this wonderful piece of cinematic genius that is the third
Anaconda
Matrix.
was last week.
Oh, sorry, yes. I've watched the wrong film, haven't I? I apologise.
Exactly. And let the fanfares ring out because we are joined by Rav. How are you?
I would say fanfare, more like a ukulele. just someone sat there just strumming ukulele. That'll be fine. I'm good. How are you?
Do you want me to have a strum, mate? I'll have a strum.
Well, why not?
We can both do that, Stu. We can both strum.
I should get the sauce.
We can. Oh dear, it's turned already. It's turned. But yeah, finally, we are on the third. Well, it's not the final because there's one yet to come out, but we are on the third Matrix film, and it's Matrix Revolutions, still directed and written by the Wachowskis. So I didn't think we were ever going to get here, to be honest, because every time we were going to do something happened. And we just never got to the end of it. And I'd watched this film again and again and again, hadn't understood it still. But today, thankfully, I printed off something from the internet called The Matrix 101. And I read that and I've done my homework. And I actually understand everything in this. And I think it might make it a more enjoyable experience slagging it off. I just don't know. So Neil, you really like the Matrix, as I said before on previous podcasts, and
yes,
you're the one who wanted to do these bad boys. Your feeling about giving too much away on number 3. Where do you stand on number 3?
I know people really do slate it, and I can understand why. But I like it for the sense that it actually finishes the story, because I think it would have been a shame if they had just left it at number 2. Where there were so many sort of questions unanswered. So that's what I'll say for now.
What about you, Rav? Without giving anything away?
I think it turned a bit crazy near the end. The first one was amazing. The second one, lukewarm reception. The third one, as I was speaking to you before the cast, people just tended to forget about it, didn't they?
Yeah.
It wasn't that much of a hit.
Well, do you know, you have a look. I mean, the film's budget was $150 million back in 2003. Which, what do you think? It is a lot. And it grossed worldwide 427 million. So
that's a hit, isn't it? That's a success.
It is a hit.
Oh,
yeah,
it is.
definitely. So, I mean, I wonder, out of all of those people who went to see it, how many people, the percentage who came out thinking, oh, God, why did they have to do this? Or those who came out thinking, I hope there is a number 4, honestly. I must admit, I didn't see 3 at the cinema. Did you guys see 3?
I think I saw them all at the cinema, yeah.
No, I got a Blu-ray copy and a normal DVD copy. Probably 5-6 years after it came out, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was way above my highbrow, honestly, than seeing it at the cinema. Not having a Limitless card then, I thought, I'm not going to pay to sit there again, just trying to pretend that I understand it, but I just didn't bother. I think I must have gone to see Men in Black or something instead.
Oh, yeah. That's a good franchise, that one.
It's class, isn't it?
It started great, and then it just spiraled.
You watch them now, and they are terrible films.
Well, of course.
they're not even funny anymore. You know, back then you thought, oh, that's hilarious, good old Will Smith, and now you're watching it and think, oh, Jesus Christ, it's so cringe. It's
It
awful.
is. Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. That's why we will not be reviewing those anytime soon. So, unless I get angry, I do it. But this has pretty much the same cast as all the other films. So if you want the cast, I'm not going to read it out because I cannot be bothered, and I'll get most of the names wrong. So go on IMDb and have a look at the cast because it's all on there. I will say that Monica Bellucci is in this film, and if you can, the scene she's in, if you can look at anything else apart from what's obvious on the screen, I give you a lot of credit.
You're a better man than us.
Oh, much better
Or
man,
woman.
much better, or woman, yes.
Or woman.
But yeah, she is absolutely stunning. A fantastic actress, absolutely brilliant.
Fantastic actress, yes. With
supporting Oscar.
So many assets she's got. Yeah,
amazing, incredible.
To her skills, yeah.
So this film starts where the last one left off, where Neo he killed or he destroyed the kind of sentinels outside of Zion, outside of the Matrix, and he collapsed because of it. And we had Bane as well, sadly not from Batman. I wish we were watching that, but he collapsed. And Agent Smith has taken over his body, and no one can work that out. Even when later on in the film, when he speaks like Agent Smith and does such a good impersonation, that they don't realise that something is wrong. So I should imagine when Bane speaks in real life, he probably sounds like a bit of a douchebag and a bit of an idiot. So when he kind of speaks very eloquently, like Agent Smith, and speaks in kind of riddle and rhyme, that the fact they don't suss something is wrong, especially those who have come face to face with him. I know most of them don't live, but they still didn't twig, did they?
No, that I have to kind of agree with you, to be honest, on that point. When they're having that, it's a lot later on in the film, isn't it? But yeah,
it's a bit strange. But at the start of it, and Neil, I'll be throwing a lot of questions your way. Because you are you're the Morpheus of this, you're the Neo, or if you want to be the Trinity, you can be the Trinity if you want. It depends what you want to wear at the time.
Depends what you want to see me in, Stu, to be honest.
Well, okay, Trinity. At the start of it,
talcum powder, gentlemen.
Yeah, talcum bass coming your way. But what it does when they're on the spaceship and they're looking for Niobe, aren't they? Who's absent at the moment. And why does Morpheus tell his colleagues just send out a search for Neo in the Matrix when Neo is on the slab in the spaceship? Why does he do that? I don't understand it.
I don't know, because he's in a coma, isn't he? On a bed, and there's the life signs are strange when they've got him hooked up. They don't quite match up. So because he believes so much in the one and the fact that he's going to save the humans, I guess he has a hunch that maybe he's found some way to be connected to the Matrix, even though he hasn't got the thing in his head. Because obviously he used his powers, didn't he, to destroy the Sentinels outside of the Matrix. So that's how I took it.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know. I mean, I was speaking to Rav before we were recording about this as to what it was, and it's kind of, I don't know, I think a lot of this is left open for interpretation by the viewer, isn't it? Whether there's like a right or wrong answer, I'm really not too sure.
The thing is with it is that no one does know, because it's never happened before, if you see what I mean. So Morpheus is so, he believes so highly in the one and the prophecy that he can't look past it. He's almost blinded by it, isn't he? So,
Yeah, he really is blinded by it. And I was saying to Rav, I mean, this Matrix 101, it's written so well. I'd love to know who did it, and whoever did do it, listen to this podcast, then credit to you. But it's broken down into like the ending's explained, because I was like, well, what the F is that all about? And then it's broken down to what's changed, and it talks about the Oracle's gamble, and it talks about the 5 previous Matrix before this, and they're in like the 6th version of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And the Oracle has she's found the perfect candidate in Neo, and it's her. She's the one who's kind of gambling and pointing Neo in like various directions, but not actually giving him the answer. And what she wants is peace, and she's kind of antis the balance against what the architect does. And it becomes apparent that through this film, through conversations from her, that it's like Agent Smith is the baddie, then everything else is pushed aside, and it's kind of all of that I didn't understand because it isn't explained, and that's what I mean when it's kind of left open for interpretations as to what this film could be about. And I think that's the frustration as I watch it.
Well, it's the thing, isn't it, that this has happened 5 times before, and like it alludes to in the second one, Neo in the second one is the first one to ever make that choice of, rather than saving the Matrix, he saves Trinity. He saves the person he loves, and that's why this series of events has never happened before. So the Oracle will only tell them what she wants to tell him, to try and point Neo to make the right choices so he can become the one. Because he's always the one, but if he doesn't make the right choices, he can't learn the right lessons and then get his powers and realise who he is, if you see what I mean.
But I don't know. It's because the next scene is when they're at the train station, and that's when you see the little girl, that Sati, and she's with her parents. And just watching this, that she's obviously she's going to be looked after by the Oracle, and you meet her parents, who are 2 programs, and that is pointed out by Neo. You're a program.
Yeah.
And this has kind of a profound impact on Neo, the fact that he's talking to his programs, and for the first time, that when it isn't him, when he's not talking to Trinity, that these programs have evolved and learned to love this other program who hasn't got a part to play in the Matrix. They love her like a daughter, and that's quite a major part of this film that he learns. But that kind of, without watching it and without understanding it and reading it where someone else has explained what that scene meant, I never got it. Even though I watched it multiple times, I just thought, well, she's just a little girl who wants to get to the Matrix, and her family want to get her out there because something's happening. And I think by trying to be so smart, I think they lose a lot of it.
The Matrix is the Matrix. When they are in the Matrix, the problem is, like they try and explain, certain programs don't need to exist anymore, so they get erased.
Yeah.
And they're trying to save her from being erased, hence why she's being taken to the Oracle so she can be looked after.
Yeah, and I take it the whole part of that was just to show the audience that programs can love.
Well, in their terms, and I know I'm talking a lot here, sorry, Rav.
No, it's okay. I'm learning as well.
The fact is, love is just a human word. It's the fact that you have feelings and care for someone, or you don't want that person to be erased because you know them and have formed a relationship with them. Every sentient being has always had that. Animals have that. You see that. Let's take it for an instance. If a dog lives with another dog for their entire life, and then one dog dies, the other one mourns for it, doesn't it? You can see it. Would you say that dog loved that other dog? Do they know what love is, or is that just the word for love? We've just made that word. And you've got to remember, these computer programs are artificial intelligence. So they are, in essence, beings.
Yeah, but I think the reflection they're trying to have on this is that he learns that he can reason with machines, and that because he believes, or that he can reason, which is why he goes to that Deus Ex, whatever it's called, the machine at the end. It's got some stupid name, Deus Ex Machina. And reasons with that and bargains with that over Agent Smith, where he wouldn't have done it before if he didn't think he could reason with machines who do have kind of a conscience.
Yeah, but I don't think that's ever happened before, because usually he would have chosen the other door gone through it and the Matrix would have been reset, because
But
that's
I
the only
would
way
never
it
have
could
got
be
that if
reset.
I wouldn't have read this, like a thicko's guide. I would never have got it.
You might,
So,
yeah, but that's the thing, though, isn't it? You know, I've only ever watched these films. I've never read any guides or anything, but because I've obviously invested in it. And to be fair, someone listening to this podcast might think, Neil, you're talking absolute shit, and that's not what's happening at all. But this
how
is how
dare
I've
they?
taken on it. But it's true, though, isn't it? Because it's just my interpretation of how it, following the films, and I've watched them numerous times. That's how I've sort of come to those conclusions. So ultimately, this has never happened before, and the machine at the end is artificial intelligence, and as we will allude to later on and discuss, because we will rip this to pieces and tell everyone everything, he's the only one that can end it. Whichever way round it went, whichever door he went through, Neo is the only one that can end it. And the artificial intelligence, the person that runs it all, that he speaks to at the end, whatever you think of how it's portrayed, is another conversation. But that he knows that he's only got one choice. He either lets Agent Smith do what he's doing, knowing he can't stop it, or he trusts in Neo to try and be able to get the job done.
Yeah. Did you kind of ever think, when you watch these, Rav, do you kind of just go with the flow? Do you get it, or where do you sit with regards to your position in this?
I mean, it's like I said, the first film, it was something out of the blue, something completely brand new, and you kind of bought into it because they used, without insulting anyone, they used simple language to navigate you through the world. Second film kind of did that. The third film, they just became very heavily entrenched in, and like I said to you before, Stu, became heavily entrenched in symbolism, and just it became very convoluted in some of the conversations that were had. And I'm not sure if it was in this one. I can't remember. It's all fall into one now for me for some reason. It's a mind fart for a second. Where he has a conversation with the architect in that room.
That's the second one. To end
Second
of the second
one, yeah,
one.
sorry, that's the one. So yeah, same with the second one. It's just like you've done this because of this, like, cause and effect. Okay, right, fine. But if explain to me in a simple manner what's going on. Some films I do, you know, if I'm invested into it in the film, then I kind of get the backstory. For example, the new Dune, because I'm invested in it and I've read the books. I've read the first book. I'm kind of invested in it, so I know exactly what's going on. But then someone who hasn't done that, or like you said, Stu, you had to put out a manual. Like, what does he mean by this? How is that affecting this? Like, for example, he's able to destroy the machines just by pointing at it. It's like, how? And like Morpheus said, searching the Matrix, but how? He's not jacked in. How do you know this is happening? That's what kind of put me away from, partly away from this film, which is like, that's just, you're just making up bullshit for the sake of bullshit.
Yeah, I know what you
That's
mean.
an opinion, but the fact is,
Yeah.
the second one, he came out of the Matrix with the powers that he has, or some of the powers that he has in the Matrix. That's how Agent Smith came out of the Matrix. He found a way to imprint himself onto a human brain, because, like James said, it's a human brain is just like a computer, just it's a fleshy one rather than a thingy one. And at the end of the day, this film is sci-fi. It's exactly the same as it's a Star Trek, in the sense of it's nerdy as fuck, but they don't all wear silly uniforms. And it's like Star Wars. It's like any other sci-fi. You have to, you have to sort of give it this chance of listening to it and saying, well, yeah, we all know this could never happen, but that's the point. It's a fantasy. And, I understand. You either understand it or you don't, or you like it or you don't. And that's a choice you make. And I completely sort of get that. But, sci-fi, isn't
Of
it?
course.
It's make believe. And, I have no issue. I don't struggle understanding this film because I'm interested in it. If you aren't interested in it, then you will often not. not want to understand it, but your brain it struggles to take it in.
Switches off.
Because you have more important
Yeah.
things that you want to have in your brain than understanding a film that you're not particularly interested in.
Fish
Yeah,
fingers.
Exactly. Do you see my point? You know,
Yeah.
it's like I don't like Star Trek. I can't stand it. I've never liked it, and I could sit there all day listening to it, and it would all go through one ear into out of the other, with all the jargon they talk. And
Yeah.
I suppose to some people this is that for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause just like yourself, I mean, I just don't get Star Wars. It never really appealed to me. But then again, it's the exact same like you're saying, Neil. Like, you don't get Star Trek, which I kind of get Star Trek, but then I don't get Star Wars. I just don't understand it. So it's like you said, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
It is, and obviously I know this is quite heavy on information and stuff like that, and it's very nerdy. And I think that's the thing. You either enjoy that kind of element, and if you're invested in the story and you want to know where it goes, then you will sort of concentrate and not, your eyes won't go cross-eyed, and you won't start, like Stu said, start thinking about fish fingers. You'll sit there and you'll sort of take it in and be excited about, where is this going to take me and stuff. And I think that's, it made an absolute ton of money. So there's obviously plenty of people out there that were interested in that. Whether they thought that at the end of the film, we don't know, do we?
No.
But
no, I mean, as you say, I think you guys are both spot on the side of the fence that you're on, and it's quite interesting. I mean, you could talk about this for absolutely hours, but when he's at the train station, he's left in limbo. The train station, the train is the way back into the Matrix, and as I said, you've got this family there wanting to get back into the Matrix with Sati, their program, their daughter. And they can't get on there because you've got, who is he, the train driver who won't let you go on the train, and it's his world, it's his program that he set up, and he answers to the Neil, tell me his name, the Merovingian.
yeah, he's the Frenchman, isn't
That's
he?
how you pronounce it, yeah. And he was the one in who we saw, if the listeners remember, in number 2, when he had the 2 twins, the 2 clones, the ghosts,
Yes.
with the dreads. So and we learned that he's extremely powerful, played by Lambert Wilson, who's a singer who's got quite a good voice. I listened to him on YouTube. I was quite surprised. He's quite talented. And he let the family on the train, but he won't let Neo go on the train back in. And then it flips back to where you've got Morpheus and you've got Trinity speaking to the Oracle. And again, it's kind of all very wordy and quite heavy. And basically, it's a case of you go and see the Merovingian and basically go and free Neo.
Yeah.
And make a deal with him. And that leads to a scene which is really, really reminiscent. And also, I forgot, they take, what is his name? It's Serpa, the Chinese guy, the one who kicks everyone's ass, who's really, Seraph, isn't it? Seraph.
It's the one that protects the Oracle, basically.
Yeah. Bruce Lee in The Matrix. Yeah, Seraph.
Basically, yeah.
So Trinity, Morpheus, and Seraph go and see the Merovingian. I can't even. It's such stupid fucking names. Why can't I be called Barry? You know what I mean? Barry goes to see Wayne and Bob, and Steve's there as well with Dave. It'd be so much easier than these stupid bloody names. And the scene when they go and see him is really reminiscent of the first one when they walk in there, and the famous gun scene with the waifu and everything else. But isn't it funny? I don't know if they did this on purpose. When they're chasing the guy on the underground, the way they're running is really, really strange. It's almost as if they're all on conveyor belts and they're just running. It's strange. I just noticed it. I don't know whether that's intentional. Like a Matrix run. It just looks bizarre,
wasn't it?
Oh, it's just strange.
It's very, very Inception-y, because remember, they do that in Inception as well, don't they?
Yeah. It is really weird, and they end up at this kinky S&M club. And again, why is everything in this? Why are the people always wearing like S&M bondage gear? And I know we spoke about this before. It's what they want to wear. It's what they choose to wear in the Matrix. But everyone in the Matrix must be into like sadomasochism.
Probably
Maybe
cheap
it's why I like it
discount.
so much.
There we go. We've
We have it
discovered.
here.
Yeah. Shit! I just announced that on the internet. Oh well.
It's like therapy. Discovering the real you. Yeah.
You know the real me, Stu, and so
I
do you,
do
Ralph.
know
So
the
don't
real
even,
you.
don't even fucking try and think.
Oh yeah, I spent the night with both of you guys. It's
Exactly.
it's been always very entertaining. Jesus. So yeah, so the train comes, and obviously, as I said before, he's not allowed on the train. And I do like the part when he thinks, like anyone else would, I'm going to run down the train line through the tunnels and make my way there.
Yeah.
And he just ends up back where he was. I like that. I thought that was very good. But yeah, the fight in the club, really, really good fight, just at the right time when the film, for me, is getting quite heavy, wordy. That they have some really good action, and it is virtually the same. The room's virtually the same size as they fight in. And again, it's people running up the walls, but it's really good. I don't know what you guys thought of this. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good action. You are right. It's very reminiscent of the other fights. There's nothing sort of groundbreaking in it, if you like. It's more of the same. But I don't know how you sort of up the ante in these films now, because, like you say, it's kind of been done. But it's still very enjoyable.
Like you said, Stu, it kind of broke up the dialogue. So something else happening on screen other than dialogue.
Yeah, I think you needed it just at that time, and I think it's still very stylish though, and I think that's what this film always keeps to, being really, really stylish. And I love the arrogance of the Merovingian, whatever his fucking name is. I really, really do like the way he's so confident, and when he's on the screen, he really kind of make sure he's the center of attention, that everyone listens to him, and you get the feeling, and you can see just how powerful he is. And you can also see the hatred, especially from Trinity, from when Monica Bellucci kissed Neo. There really is that tension in the air when these guys always meet up, isn't there?
Oh, definitely. They all hate each other, don't they?
Yeah, and it's really good. And he comes up with a deal that he'll bring Neo out if he's brought the eyes of the Oracle, which was obviously never going to happen. Trinity obviously loses her shit like she's going to.
Good on her.
Yeah,
Good
and
on
she
her.
really doesn't give a toss. And she puts a gun to his head. And it's interesting enough, the next scene is the train turning up and Neo jumping on the train. So after that, once Neo's out, Neo goes back and sees the Matrix, and by this time Satty's goes back to the Oracle. And Satty's with the Oracle. And I do like the fact that it was pointed out last time that due to the sad death of the previous lady who played the Oracle, that they brought a new one in, and they kind of bring it that because of what's happened previously, even she had to change who she was, didn't she?
Yes, she had to change her
clever.
form.
Yeah, I
that
like
was nice.
that. Yeah, nice. I thought that was really good. But when they have their conversation, it's only the kind of the lines really about kind of things that the beginning have to have an end, that she says to him, that kind of really strikes a note. And it's the same line used by Agent Smith at the end of it, which kind of rings true when he knows that it's not Agent Smith, it is the Oracle saying these words, which leads him to do what he does. But apart from that, I found this conversation a lot of, well, do you, or you lie, see what you think, you know?
Yeah, I get it. Do you know what? I think the Oracle thing is as fun as it is. I love this film, but it's become a bit tiresome because we all know that the Oracle will only answer questions with a question.
Yeah.
Because she needs him and everybody else to make up their own mind. If you see what I mean, she's not going to tell you what to do or what is going to happen. She's just going to allude to certain things. She's not going to give you a direct answer. And even I was at the point it's like, just go away now.
It's annoying, isn't it?
I'm getting a bit fed up with you asking a question and saying, but is it though? Or, ooh, it's like, just
Imagine
yes
if he
or
did
no.
that on the podcast. It would be like, I thought it was a really good scene, Neil. I thought it was so powerful. What about you? Well, Stuart, depends what power is. Are you powerful? Well, no, just fucking answer the question.
I would answer the question, but then that would give the answer away, Stu. That's for you to figure out what I feel.
We'd have one viewer, and it would be about 3 minutes long, the podcast, because we'd all get really pissed off. Jesus, and you think, yeah, I sound really smart, so I just answer a question with a question.
Yeah.
That's how you sound smart, though.
Yeah, I know. Or is it?
Well.
You tell me.
So I was quite surprised when Sarah takes Sati away, because she knows that Agent Smith is coming. She's obviously seen what's going to happen. So that's why she's not scared. And when Sephra takes Sati away, I was a bit disappointed that I would like to have seen a fight scene with Sephra and Agent Smith. That would have been really entertaining. But they didn't do that, and you soon learn that he's just taken over Sephra. And I don't know why he didn't take over Sati. Why didn't he, or did he do that? Because you don't see it, do you? When he like morphs into these characters.
I don't. Was that at this bit?
Because he takes her away, and they kind of go in various rooms, and Sati says, well, he's following us, there's nowhere to go. And suddenly they're in a room surrounded by Agent Smiths. And then it just cuts away back to the agents, or all the Agent Smiths again, talking to the Oracle, who knows what's going to happen. And he even says that to her, that you know what is going to happen. And she just doesn't care, because she's got the plan at the end of the film, what's going to happen.
I can only assume, in fact, that because the other guy was more powerful and he had more influence than someone like Sati did, that he would have been a better choice to take over. Because he was direct linked to the Oracle, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas Sati wasn't so much.
Because he always says that I protect what matters most. And this time, is it that Sati matters most and not the Oracle? And that's why he's gone off with her, or I honestly don't know. Or maybe he didn't understand the Oracle because she answers a question with a question, so he thought, I sod this, I'm just going.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, before this, don't they? Because they go back to the Nebuchadnezzar, don't they?
Yeah.
And they all wake up and start chatting, and then that's when Smith comes in, doesn't he? And he obviously, I suppose he doesn't feel that the girl's important. I suppose he just thinks that, she's just another sort of lost program, if you like, and isn't going to be a danger. But the main person he's after is obviously the Oracle, isn't he? Because he wants to get her and get her out of the way and take her over, so he can sort of figure out who, know her, what she knows.
Yeah, because he can now see what the Oracle can see, which is why he does that really weird laugh, and he takes his glasses off, which he never does.
Yeah.
So, but that's what the Oracle wants him to see, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't realise at the time, but yeah, she's happy for him to take her over, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And then you get the scene after that, which we spoke about earlier, with Bane on the Nebuchadnezzar, or whatever spaceship it is, talking exactly like Agent Smith.
Yeah.
And he does, fair play to him, he does a good impression, doesn't he?
He does. He does. I'm trying to think. I suppose, Trinity and Morpheus are in this room, and he's talking exactly like Agent Smith, isn't he? And they just don't have a clue. And that is a weak point, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, they've let themselves down. They're better than that, end of the day, and they're really embarrassing. Yeah. So there is a fucking hell of a lot of waffle that goes on in between this, of lots of absolute nonsense that I'm really, really not interested in. But it does come down to the fact that, and the one thing that is a constant in these films is that Neo always sticks by his beliefs, regardless of what he could be outnumbered 100 to 1. But if he believes it, he'll quietly say out loud, of his point of view and why he believes it. And in front of everyone, he's backing Neo to go, because Neo wants to take his own spaceship and go, because he knows he needs to go to Machine City.
Yeah.
And even Niobe, who's kind of not ever really been a believer, but because of her feelings for Morpheus, I think that she agrees to let him take the spaceship. And whilst they're discussing that, Bane kills that lady with no name badge, the nurse, who knew she was going to die. She was the only one in that room at that time who must have thought, this person isn't dangerous. I'm quite happy for him to be sitting with a scalpel. She deserved to die. She was a complete idiot.
It's stupid, isn't it? Because, you know, he's woken up. They believe that he's blown up the other ship in the second one, hence why they found him unconscious. Yet they're both sat there, and she's got the needle and explained to him, I'm going to inject you with this, and you're going to tell us the truth. Now, if he is a fucking criminal, you're not going to tell him that that's what you're going to do and not have him sort of, you know, restrained in some way on your own. It's just, it's a massive plot hole, isn't it? You could tell what was going to happen a mile off.
Yeah.
Unless that was for the audience purposes. That's the reason why they've done that.
Oh, massively, but it just it's
it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It's, you know, I understand why they've done it, but it's very weak, isn't it? Because no one would ever do that.
No, it's
what
so
are you gonna do with that?
shite.
Oh, I'm gonna put this in you so you tell me what the truth is. No, you're not.
No.
I'm gonna stab you actually. Goodbye.
Whilst I'm doing this, could you just hold this scalpel for us? Yeah, of course I will. No worries.
Yeah, I won't stab you, I promise.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And another thing that I didn't get was straight after that scene was that Neo and Trinity are there, and he's with her, and it says, "Look, just this mission that I'm going to go on. The chances are I'm not going to come back from this, and it's a one-way mission." And she's like, "Well, that's why I loved you. That's why I believed in you." And they hug.
Yeah.
And then they get in the spaceship together, and I thought, well, why would you have that conversation with someone you're going to fly away with in the same spaceship? I thought they were going to go in separately.
No, she says, doesn't she? She says that she wants to go with him. She's not going to leave him. There's no way.
I bet he was really pissed off. I bet he thought, all I want is some alone time, and you fucking ruin that.
Yeah, ever since I've met you, you've been so clingy. Fuck's sake. I was quite happily sitting in my train station. You still came there and to get me out.
Exactly.
I want to fly on my own. You won't let me. God.
Just put my buds in, put some music on, and just fly. And I can't even have peace and quiet. So, but he does say goodbye to everyone. And despite the fact that everyone is suspicious of Bane, they still don't check where he is. And only when they find that lady dead that they realise that he was a baddie. Dun, dun, dun!
I know,
And that he has escaped. And he is on the ship. Again, 3 is a crowd. That even he ruins Neo's peace and quiet when he holds Trinity hostage. And I mean, they do have a bit of a fight. And I was surprised that when I watched this, because I didn't think it would go the way it went. I thought it will be a case of either Trinity is going to kill Bane or Neo is going to kill Bane, and they'll both go to Machine City together. But it was really weird that he kind of got this massive electric cable and shoved it in Neo's face and blinded him. And then it gave a demonstration, which Neil is going to explain, of he can see, like in the Matrix, of everything on fire, and he can see the true form of Agent Smith as Bane, and Neo then goes and kill him. So how can, outside the Matrix, he sees like a Matrix form of Agent Smith and everything else? How does that work out?
Do you know what? I'd love to be able to really explain it to you, Stu, but you know, I'd be doing what James did the other time and trying to explain something when I don't actually know what's going on.
Do you know what I thought you were going to say?
What?
I thought you were going to say, I'd love to explain it to you, Stu, but you're too stupid, it's too late, and I haven't got the energy.
I guess the fact is, because he's taken... The way I looked at it was that he's obviously taken some of his abilities out of the Matrix, and obviously Agent Smith has imprinted himself onto Bane. So, in essence, he can see him for who he is, because he's he's not blinded by his human sight, if you see what I mean, which is all very la-di-da, but that's how I see it.
It's very godlike, isn't it?
It is, and I
much.
guess he is the Messiah, not just a naughty little boy. You know, it's, you know.
If you wouldn't have said it, I would have.
Exactly, I had to.
And he's
I
not
had to
coming
get-
out to play.
He's a very naughty boy. Yeah. No. So, you know, like I say, it's sci-fi, isn't it? So you have to sort of go along with the story that they're trying to tell. But yeah, basically because he's lost the vision of his human eyes, if you like, he's got this ability to read heat and electrical pulses and everything else, I guess, and almost instead of his normal sight.
What did you think of this young Ravlar?
As I said to you earlier, as well, same thing about this as well, Stu. If all it would have taken was 5 minutes to say, right, let's take you to the med bay, let's shove something in the back of your skull, which almost acts like a antenna into the matrix, so you can see best of both worlds, and that would have solved that entire issue of how he's able to see all this. Because, like Neil said, you have to suspend disbelief to see this, but it's just some explanation would have been nice as to how all of a sudden your eyesight's being fried, but you can still see.
Yeah, I agree. I would have liked him to turn round to Trinity and say, "I can see," and she'd be like, well, "How can you see? You're blind." And he says, "Because of blah, 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 blah." And then I would have gone, okay. I know in a lot of films, I knock when they do this for the audience, but in films like this, where you need to be like a college graduate to actually sit there and enjoy it, and not a thickie like me, that it kind of. And I do put a lot of effort into these films, as into trying to understand them. And I watch trailers, I watch interviews, and I print off stuff to try and understand this, rather than just go into it and go, "It's shit. I'm not even going to give it a chance." So I don't actually do that, even though sometimes I sound it. I really do put a lot of work into trying to understand films like this.
We know, Stu, and I wasn't saying that earlier. What I was saying is that sometimes if you're not interested in any subject, or you find the subject dry or difficult, and this goes to anybody, it doesn't matter how much you try, often your brain will just go, no, I'm sorry.
I agree. I'm like that with this film.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. You know, I know how much effort and time you put into every single one of these podcasts, and I often commend you for it. But ultimately, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. And like I said, your brain will just not allow you to fill it with stuff that you're not interested in. It's human nature, isn't it? I mean, this film is very much, you have to just sort of take it on the value that the prophecy is true. He is going to get to where he needs to get to, and it's just a journey, and his powers are they're evolving as it goes along. He loses his sight, so his matrix powers have taken over, so he can see the real world like he does the Matrix.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, mate. Honestly, I do. Yeah, I do. So you've got kind of two stories going at the moment. You've got Zion, the defense of that, when you've got the Sentinels going there, and you've got the Trinity, and you've got Neo as well going to Machine City to try and basically over that save everyone else. And I do like the battle of Zion. And the first time I watched this, I kind of thought, "Oh, this is terrible. This is just a rip-off of Aliens and Machines." But the more and more I watch this, and I notice different things, especially about the machines like drilling through the wall and everything. I mean, special effects sometimes are a little bit, but I enjoyed it. But I mean, the special effects are great. We've just come off Anaconda, you know what I mean? So this was just like a gift. It really was. It felt like Christmas. But I do like it, and I like the fight they have. And it goes on for the right amount of time. Yeah. Everyone has something to do. Even the commanders, who normally just stand there and give orders, are strapped into these machines, just like Ripley got in from Alien. And they're all shooting up to the skies. Visually, I really like it. I don't know where you guys stand, but I think it's great.
I think it's epic. I think it's one of those sort of really memorable. They've done it really nicely in the sense that you could tell that, you know, this is the end of their world, if you like. They know they're all going to die, and it's just hell for leather, isn't it? And there's a contingency plan for everything that they might do and stuff. And the visuals, especially the mech things that they're walking around in and shooting the ridiculous amount of bullets and stuff, it's very pleasing on the eye. And I found it, the first time I watched it, I found it very tense and exciting.
Yeah. I think on the big screen at the cinema, this would have looked absolutely incredible. Yeah. It really would have looked. It's just like the game Titanfall, which I love on the Xbox. It's so good when you get in these massive machines and you just fight each other. It's so good. I mean, what did you think, Rav?
I double-edged sword with this one. I thought it was a very good scene, but then the whole analytical part of your brain kicks in. It's like, and as I've already stated, suspend disbelief. But why would you not get everyone out if you know you're fucked? Because the machines are stronger than you, faster than you, more powerful than you guys will ever be. And then secondly, why the hell would you design a cockpit of a walker that's open to everything? And all it takes is a machine just to stab you once. That's it. It's game over. Just the fact that the ammunition of those things were very minimal. And plus, this is one thing also gets me. It's really freaking annoying. They use an EMP in the ships before. No issues. Why can't they use EMPs there?
Do you know what I really like? You mentioned the EMP, and I like that. And I love, for once, I mean, as we say, you've got Niobe, who wants to get there. They're racing to get there. They're being chased by the Sentinels to get to Zion to save everyone. And they do get there. And I'll come on to the point of the EMP, Rav, is that you do get, you get the tension, you get Link's wife there, and she's fighting as well. As I say, they kind of give it, like they do in all of these films, they give someone something to do, and they have their moments. And you do get the bit where Niobe smashes through into Zion and lets that EMP go. And all of the Sentinels, they do just drop down. But what I like was you've had the captain or the general who's been very anti-Neo, very anti-Morpheus all the way through this. And he's kind of been portrayed to a certain extent as a baddie, hasn't he? That every time someone comes with a practical idea, that he shoots it down and he has an agenda. But he's spot on. For once, he is spot on. And he says, and I really, really like the fact that he has his moment, that when they're all patting each other on the back and pulling each other off, that the EMP that they used to save everyone has now disabled all of their communications, all of their weaponry, and now they're just sitting ducks. And I really, really like the fact that it kind of went full circle. I thought that was really well written.
Definitely, I completely agree, because that's the thing. In what you said, Rav, I get it. Why do they stay there? Well, ultimately, it doesn't matter where they go. These millions of machines are going to hunt them down, aren't they? I can understand your dislike of the design of the mechs and stuff like that. That's a taste thing. I think,
of course,
a massive machine with claw arms, it doesn't matter if it's what you've got in front of you, if it's going to punch through something that's going to kill you. That's my personal opinion. And Stu's covered it. If they do use the EMP, which they have to in the end, but ultimately it's to no avail, is it? It kills the ones that are there, but there's a million more behind it just waiting to come in.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really good. A very smart idea, very well written.
Yeah.
But it's strange because there's obviously, they're waiting now because and I do like the fact that all the Sentinels go there, and they're even worse this time, even more hungry, and they just sit in front of all the humans, just sat waiting for instructions from their leader, who's Deus Ex Machina, and they're just waiting to wipe out everyone, which has happened previously. Then it's reset again. But I thought it was a bit strange and a bit weak that when you've got Trinity and you've got Neo on their way flying, and no one's ever got this close to Machine City. They point that out numerous times.
Yes, they do.
And the way that they do get there is to go above the clouds, and all of the kind of the robots, they all fall off, and the Sentinels, and then they land in Machine City. It's so weak way of doing it.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. I do. I suppose, how else would they have done it, though? Because Neo tries to stop the Sentinels with his powers, doesn't he? But there's just too many of them.
Yeah.
You know, they can't just get out and walk. So I suppose what else could you do with it? But no, I do agree. It would have been nice if there was a different way of doing it rather than, I got to see the sky. But there again, that's a nice touch for Trinity, considering what happens to her when they do crash land in the
Yes.
in
Yeah, it was
Machine
nice to
City.
see the sun on her face. Yeah, I thought that was a lovely touch. And visually, again, I thought it looked well. I mean, and when they do crash land, Rav, were you surprised that Trinity at this point had about 10 spikes going through her and that she was dead? Did that surprise you or not really, mate?
Not really, because it reminded me of Serenity and Wash. Oh man, that's still heartbreaking until now. So you know it's only going to be the film is always about Neo, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
you have to get rid of dead weight, unfortunately, and then she was that dead weight to a certain degree.
Oh, you're a heartless beast. You
They
really are. Trinity,
But
dead weight.
No, it was in this movie. She really was. Just didn't really have much compared to the last two. She was almost like a side character to a certain degree.
Yeah,
And that's what I found.
Yeah, she became more, I think.
Background.
Yeah,
Which is a shame because she could have been such a strong character, strong lead. Like the first movie, she was a really strong lead in that. But this one, just put it to the side. It's like, yeah, okay, you're just here because of Neo.
She's Batman. She's the Robin to him. It's Batman. That's
Yeah.
how I'd say it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you should
But
write
the first one was
cards.
the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he was new to it, isn't it? Yeah, I get what you're saying, Rav. But I suppose maybe a little bit harsh. But ultimately, it's your opinion, isn't it, to say that she's dead weight? But I suppose.
But she was more for the plot. That's the reason why he's turned this way, and this is the only way you're going to force the plot forward is by causing more grief for the main character. And what better to have the love interest die, just to fuel the rage a little bit more.
But in my personal opinion, I think at the end of this film, I think ultimately I don't think they wanted to do another one. I think they wanted to do their trio of films, and that was the end, so to speak. So they sort of wanted to end people's stories, if you like. They thought this was a fitting way of Trinity going out as a bit of a hero, getting Neo to where
she could have done so much more though. Like go on to Machine City and started fighting off while he's in the chair, or whatever the case may be. That would be a fitting end. But this is just like, here you go, you landed, you're dead.
Yeah, I think Trinity is the best when she's kicking ass. I really do. I agree with Ram. I think she's such a strong character, and I think she could have given so much more. But I suppose in a way, on the other side of things, is that it, to a certain degree, lessens the stakes for Neo because he has lost kind of Trinity, who was that was it. So it was. I think if she would have lived, I mean, she would have been stuck anyway in the long run, because how would she have got back from Machine City?
And she would have died instantly anyway, because let's be fair, she's a kick-ass, she's an awesome female character in this film, in or out of the Matrix, but she only can kick ass in the Matrix.
Yeah.
She's just a person when it comes to being in the real world, and it would have just taken one of those little spider creature things that was walking around to probably stab her in the shin, and she would have died anyway.
What they could have done is, sorry, interrupt. What they could have done is kept Thingy alive. I can't remember his name. Bane kept Bane alive, as in he wasn't killed off by Neo, and then just as Neo's going, being taken to the machine thing, then that could have been the fight between her and him, and that would be a hell of a fitting end, because the fact that Neo's going to fight Smith in the Matrix, and she's going to fight him here in the real world.
That's a way they could have done it.
Yeah. That would be a
disagree with that
for her.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Rav. To be honest, I like that way of doing it.
Yeah.
To be fair.
So Neo goes to see who they call, who's got again like Deus Ex Machina, and he makes a deal with this machine, because this machine is the one who's in charge of everything. And I do like, again, visually, I think it is quite good. I like the way they get the smaller machines that make a face, a human face, that they talk to. I mean, I don't know why they needed to do that because Neo's blind anyway. He can't see fuck all, so it makes no odds.
I didn't like that at all.
For audience purposes.
Yeah,
it was a bit,
I really didn't enjoy why they would ever do that. Because surely, one, like you're right, Stu, he can't see, and two, he's a machine, and they use humans as basically as electricity, fuel. Why would you then make yourself look like one?
Exactly. Have the face of Jeremy Beadle.
And the little hand coming up. Yeah. But it's just, stuff like that. Visually, I suppose it's showing what they could do with the technology they had at the time, which is very impressive. But ultimately, it would have been better if it was something just, a big creature of, robot type thing, however they look. It didn't need to form a human face. For me, I think it took me out of it a little bit at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was very clever, visually it was very good, but it wasn't needed. And so it sets out kind of the next plan, the last plan. With you've got the Sentinels down there communicating with Deus Ex Machina up there, and you can see like these little radars come out. And again, it's Morpheus who puts down his weapon, like, I'm a hero. I'm going to go out there and talk to them because everything's all right. It's like, oh, piss off. Yeah. That was too much for me. I'd like someone just to smash a nice steak through his stomach and just prove everyone wrong that he's a dick. But it's just baggage end of the day. But they agree that Neo is going to be plugged into the Matrix by this machine to fight Agent Smith, because Agent Smith is getting too big, because, as he explained previously, he hates humans, he hates machines, and he's taken over everything. And if there aren't any humans, the machines can't survive because there aren't any batteries, and vice versa. And so he's kind of inadvertently, or he's purposely destroying everything. So, and we don't realize yet, but this is what the Oracle knew would happen and kind of hinted it would happen and directed Neo in with a question for a question. And he's going to pit himself against Agent Smith. And the agreement is, and it's not explained until the end, but the agreement is that if you do win, there will be peace in the world. And that people who don't know any difference, who are plugged into the Matrix, will stay there. But the people who don't believe in that fake reality are allowed to leave the Matrix and live free without any fighting. That's the agreement that's made, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
But that isn't explained, is it?
No, it isn't. All he wants is peace, isn't it? All Neo says, he just wants peace, as in he just wants Zion to be left alone.
Would have been better if they would have explained that, kind of reasoned. For me, it would have been nice. There would have been some odds there, something at stake, because they even explained that before it's all the machines are going to take over, and machines are going to do this. And even the Oracle says talking about Agent Smith. So you get the general gist that this going in a different direction with a different baddie. But for me, it would have been better if they had had a conversation about this, and it would have shown that the machine is actually scared of something, with a conscience.
He is scared of something anyway, because he's scared of Agent Smith, and he knows.
But that's never explained, is it?
It is because Neo turns around in this conversation and says, "You know that you cannot do anything without my help to try and defeat Agent Smith." So he says, "You either help me help you, and then we can have peace, as in you leave Zion alone," because ultimately all he wants to do at this point is stop from every human that's in Zion, which is the last surviving city on Earth, being wiped out like it always has been before. And the machine knows that this is his only option, hence why he agrees to do it. So he is scared. He doesn't want to rely on Neo, a human, to do his job, but he knows that he can't do it. He has no other option.
I must have been thinking about fish fingers when that happened, honestly.
You must have been, mate, because, and I like the fact that they don't go into the grave details of it, because I don't want it to, start writing on a piece of paper and signing what they're going to agree to do, because it's then after this bit that quite an enjoyable, though it gets a bit wishy-washy in the end, a bit soppy, the conversation between the architect and the Oracle at the very end of the film just pieces it all together in a nice little package.
No, it does. Yeah, I agree with that. I concur. Rav, what did you think about the fight, the ongoing fight between Neo and Agent Smith?
It started off very well. I liked the whole kung fu basis. It was very good. Well, the scene was very well set out, and especially with where their locations were, pissing down rain, especially as Neo's walking and those Agent Smiths are there, and that one guy sat there smiling, nodding, Agent Smith. That was funny. But then it just turned silly. And it just turned. I can see it going that way, but especially from the last movie, when he did the whole Superman takeoff. But then it just turned silly with this. It's like, what's going on right now?
Yeah, I thought a lot of this fight was choreographed for the visual effects
really well.
only.
Yeah.
When they kept smashed into each other and the water would explode, it'd be a massive circle, then the water would fall down. I don't know whether this was done in 3D and that was for the purpose of it, but it was.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think it was done in 3D. I don't recall it being 3D. But
yeah, but it was just too much flying together, explosion flying together, explosion. It's like I've seen this before. They've done this so many times before.
Yeah,
it was. I got a bit
Dragon Ball
fatigued.
I get what you're saying. I think it went on for too long. And this is the thing with a lot of films like this, isn't it? The fight scenes are very, very good, but like Rav just said with Dragon Ball, as fun as it is, and things can go on for too long, and I think this fight lasts for a good. I don't even know how long it lasts for. It feels like it lasts for about 15 minutes. It probably isn't anywhere near that long, but it could have been cut down by half. Been enjoyable. You could have still put some of those visual effects in because they are quite clever with the rain and everything like that. I quite enjoyed it. But again, that's obviously just my opinion of it. But yeah, I do agree in the sense of we've seen most of this before and it just goes on for far too long. It could have been
like
cut
the bit
down.
when he was dropped down, when they flew down really fast and it was outside the Continental Hotel going back to John Wick. I thought that was quite a nice touch. But I liked it when they were in that crater in the floor and when Agent Smith was actually talking to Neo, that's when I enjoyed it the most, when he couldn't understand why Neo was getting up and the fact that he had a choice because he's a machine and he doesn't see choices. It's either they're kind of they're commands, they're not choices. And that's kind of the start of his downfall, of his ignorance as well, with having the Oracle inside him. And it's when he beats him and when he kind of says to him about everything that starts must have an end, and that's when Neo lets him. Because I didn't get this again at first viewing. I just thought he's beaten Neo and that's it. But he obviously, when he takes over his body, it's the whole plan and the Oracle and everything else inside Agent Smith just makes him explode. And I didn't get that, but having seen that now and understood it more, for me, I benefited and I enjoyed it a lot more. The ending of this film, I thought it was a very clever ending. I know it's going to surprise you, Neil, but I thought it was very good.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It is clever and it all comes together, doesn't it, quite nicely? That's the whole point. Every character seems to have their point and purpose, and it's I mean, I like the fact that obviously when he does take over him, doesn't he? Neo dies, and then it goes back to the real world, and the machine. You're going to have to remind me of his name, Stu, because I know you love saying it.
What, Deus Ex Mechanica?
Yeah, he brings him back to life, doesn't he? In the real world. And that's what then infuses him to be able to be empowered to blow up Agent Smith that he's just been taken over. And obviously that sort of breaks that chain of events that he doesn't have all this control anymore.
That's it. Once he's got control of him, he's able to destroy him, which I thought was clever.
So it was clever in the way he did it, because Agent Smith won, but in doing what he did, he lost because he didn't realise that he was obviously plugged into the main source of the Matrix, and it shows the AI machine that's taken over the world, that humans and robots working together in harmony, blah blah blah, is actually beneficial rather than using them as cattle and trying to wipe them out.
And this comes back to the Oracle, the plot that the Oracle had from the beginning, which was a very dangerous game to play, wasn't it? There's a lot at stake with this.
Well, that's why it's not worked the 5 times previously. She's clearly keeps using the same idea and hoping that her, the person that she chooses, i.e. Neo, will make the right choices, which this is the one that has.
Yeah.
Which, like you say, it's a very dangerous game, because they said how many times, when they've have the conversation, how many times are we going to do this sort of merry dance and stuff like that between the Oracle and the Architect and stuff like that. So,
yeah, and I think it puts a lot more things into a clear understanding, and it's great to see Agent Smith finally die and everyone in Zion is free, and it ends. And I do like it when the Oracle, the Architect, as you said, Neil, walks up to the Oracle and basically says, "You played me." And I thought that was really, really good, because the Oracle is obviously incredibly smart, and there is peace, and it kind of everything is reset, and I just thought it was great. What did you think, Rav?
I think it tied up the story quite well right at the end. The whole conversation, and you kind of like Neil said earlier, you kind of see where they were going. These are the rules of the game. These are what happens if he loses. So I think it tied up quite nicely, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be really interesting to see where, because obviously it's been left that there is that freedom now. There is that freedom of choice that people want, and they can kind of do what they want. So in the Matrix, the fourth one, of where they're going to carry it on, and what's actually gone wrong to bring Neo back into this, because it'll be really, really interesting to see what they do, just to see if they do need that film, because it could go so badly wrong. The trailer looks good, but are they going to try and pad it out, make it so complicated for a film that they really, really didn't need?
I think it's living off nostalgia.
Yes,
I think. Just like most of the new stuff that's coming out, it's living off nostalgia.
We've said this a million times on this podcast, probably, and we probably sound like a broken record, but to me, unless they do this well and they explain it in a good way, and like you say, it shouldn't be in this ridiculously convoluted way, and it shouldn't also be that it's just like nothing's happened. But Hollywood have this thing, or the movie industry have this thing, where they've got an excellent product, and whether you like the 3 films and all this sort of thing as a whole, they always have to have another nibble, don't they? And most of the time, it's really not worth it. And I'm very skeptical if this is actually going to be any good at all, the fourth one. I'm very apprehensive about watching it. I will do, but I don't have a lot of faith that it will actually be any good.
No. Have you seen the trailer, Rav?
I've seen snippets of the new trailer. I'm not too sure what to make of it. Just like Neil said, it all depends on whether they're, and again, this is another indicative of Hollywood, if they're appealing to the I can't say it nicely, social justice.
Yeah.
If they start appealing to that, then it's going to go down the pan. If they do, like, I haven't seen it yet, but from what the reviews I hear, like, for example, speaking to Stu, Ghostbusters, then I think they can do quite well in it. But it all depends on the director. I know it's Wachowski's again, but it all depends on that was 10 years ago. So what's changed in their ideology when they first made Matrix to now?
It was 2003, wasn't it? This one, so it's more than
18 years ago.
Is it 18? Jeez, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. 18 years is a long time for a franchise, which, like you said, Rav, nostalgia-wise, you know, I look at these films and, you know, around when they made these films, you know, I was in my late teens, early 20s. So, you know, very influential on in relation to that. And I like things left for the way they are because I don't want my feelings around that thing ruined. And my feeling is that I've seen it too many times. RoboCop, why did you touch that? It was a pile of crap. Total Recall, absolute pile of crap. Blade Runner, again, awful. And you see these films and they keep trying to bring it back out again. It's like, just leave it alone.
Definitely.
You know, just leave it alone. It's had its time, and let's all enjoy it for what it was.
I think it comes back to the whole thing of they've run out of ideas, and they're trying to bring back something which new made money, and ultimately, let's face it, it's all about making money. That's the only reason why they do these films. But they're running out of ideas, new ideas, and they're bringing back old films to think, right, can we rekindle the money that we had back then? I mean, there's plenty of stories out there which are fresh and new, but A, nobody wants to put any faith in them because it's a gamble. And it is a gamble. I'm not going to lie, it is a gamble. Yeah. And B, it's just, is anyone going to be interested in it? Well, a lot of people are going to be interested in it because it's something new. It's just like the whole James Bond thing. You know, don't make James Bond female. It's a male character. Just bring a female character into the world and have her own series.
Yeah,
that's what they should do. But you know, they know more than we do. They make the money, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing is, it's just interesting when you say gamble, and I completely agree with what you're saying. But then, you know, we've reviewed film recently, Halloween, the original one, complete gamble. You know, how many times have we sat there and we've watched it, and basically studios haven't touched it, and stuff like that because it's too much of a risk. Oh no, we don't think anyone will like that. And funnily enough, it turns out to be worth millions. Star Wars, for instance.
Star Wars, yeah.
You know, that's a point in case. No one would touch that with a barge pole, and it ended up making him an absolute, you know, he ended up a billionaire, didn't he? Because
same with Star Trek.
You know, that's the thing. Often, are they too afraid of trying something new sometimes than remaking something that doesn't need to be done? Is my opinion of it. It just it frustrates me a little bit, and I will watch it, but I'm very skeptical.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Mm.
So, as we always do, Rav, best bit, worst bit, and out of 5. And would you recommend this to anyone?
I would, just because it's part of the trilogy. And if you start watching one, you're always going to be intrigued. What's the next film like? What's the next film like? So I would say if you started off strong, it kind of went a bit weird near the end. I think the opening parts of this film were very good, but it just kind of faded away. And it was just like, quick, let's finalize this because we've only got so much time left on the reel. So that would be that. And then I would say, fortunately, another 3 out of 5 for me.
Oh, 3 out of 5. That's not bad, to be honest. That's not bad. God. I mean, I'd say best bit was the ending of Agent Smith. I thought that was very good. I thought it was explained very well. The machine, I like that. I actually got an understanding of it, so it made me enjoy it more. I thought the worst bits, there were several. I thought it was padded out so much. There's a repetition of action, and again, like I spoke about I think it's mainly the second podcast, the middle film we did this, the Reloaded, was that I felt like sometimes the film was trying to be too smart, as if it was like patting itself on the back of look how smart we can be and look how clever we are. When it bored me because I don't want that. If I start thinking about fish fingers and everything, then the film's lost me. And I thought a lot about that during this film. I'd recommend it to people because, as Rav said, it's part of a trilogy. And if you watch the first one, the second one, just if you've got nothing better to do for 3 hours or 2.5 hours, however long it is, watch this film. But I'd probably give it about 2 out of 5 because it was hard watching. It really was. And my little brain struggled with it, and I don't like the fact that I had to do lots of work to understand this. I know it is down to me being a thickie, but it kind of put me off it, and I probably knock a point off it for that. But yeah, that's what I thought about The Matrix. I'm glad I don't have to watch it again. I don't think I will watch it again for a long time. What about yourself, Neil?
Well, I can't disagree with what you're saying in the sense of that's your opinion, and you're obviously welcome to have it. But
Lovely.
But I have to say, I'd recommend it. I love this series. It just really resonated with me. It was obviously something that I just really enjoyed. I could get my teeth into. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the way it went throughout the trilogy. Yes, it is padded out in places. Tell me a film that isn't. And you know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd recommend it to anyone to watch. If you're a sci-fi nerd and you like fighting and big boobs and S&M, this is your film and your trilogy of films. And it's, yeah, I love it. I can't really say I don't. I'd have to give this one. It's probably maybe the second one's probably the weakest out of the three for me. So I'd probably still give this a good 4 out of 5.
Wow. That's brilliant, though. We've all got different opinions, and it's so good. That's what I love about these podcasts.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That films are very much like music. You have the things you enjoy, and you have the things you can't stand. Now, you know, if you put Britney Spears on, I will fucking rip the stereo out of wherever it is and flush it down the toilet. But to other people, they'd sit there and have a dance along to it. You know, it's those things, isn't it? You like it or you don't. And
yeah,
it's
completely agree.
And that's the thing. This series of films is really, I love them, and I won't, you know, I'd happily watch them over and over and over again, even to this day, even though they're 20 odd years old now. Best bits for me, there's so many. I suppose the best bits for me are the fight in Zion. I thought they did that really, really well, other than the Morpheus walking out. That was poor. That was one of the worst bits, because I don't care if the machine's all stopped. You're not going to go out there and go, "Hi, you're right."
Yeah, start stroking them like a puppy.
Yeah, that's absolute bollocks. I'm not being funny. So yeah, that's one of the worst bits. But yeah, I'd recommend it. And yeah,
good lad. Excellent. Well, coming up next week, we have got Hawkeye. We're going to do that. And then we're going to do a double episode. It's going to be episode 1 and 2, currently out on Disney Plus. So that's, again, just like we did with Captain America and Loki. You'll be getting 2 podcasts a week. If you hate this podcast, you'll be thinking that's terrible news. But if you like it, then that's really good news. And then next week, we're going to do a 2016 I Am Raph starring John Travolta, which is a good old-fashioned violent vengeance film. Stanley Hill opens a can of brutal vengeance on the thugs who murdered his wife and the corrupt cops who are protecting them. So I've not seen this film.
No.
I don't think you've seen it, Neil, have you?
I certainly haven't. It's
so
something
it'll
that
be
pulled out of the air. And
yeah,
let's do that one.
Interesting film to do. So that is on next week. So be sure to join us. Well, that's it from me. What about you guys? Anything to add before we go?
No, just thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our retrospective review of The Matrix.
Definitely. Ravlar?
Oh, all good. It's yeah, thanks for listening, everyone out there. You're making our lives more interesting, more fun, making us keep going.
It's good to have you back on the pod, Rav. Very good, mate. And we'll be back next week. Any films you want us to do, we're on Twitter. Check out our YouTube channel, because some of the podcasts that you listen to on the audio versions, extra ones on the YouTube channel. So check that out at the Film Reelcast on YouTube and click that subscribe button. That's all from this week. We'll be back next week. Thanks again. Take care.